Hello there, my name is Sloan, aka Artplebe, and I am here to catch you all up on episodes 1 through 29 of your favorite Friday night D&D campaign, Off the Rails. Off the Rails is DM'd by MrShickadance, and it follows the adventures of us, a party brought together by fate and circumstance. The party consists of Barney Fairweather, a half-elven storm druid played by yours truly, Brothos the Bold, a fire giant zealot barbarian played by TheGovnar, Rhystrata an Eladrin Redemption Paladin played by sarahiscoffee, and Yona, a half-elven archfey warlock played by Denkles. The party begins in a town called Wriggles Run, when the party raids the camp of a local gang leader who's been stealing goods and making poisons to sell to the Spellbreakers, an extremist cult of anti-magic zealots. Things aren't too weird until one of the gang members is killed and then turns into a zombie? In a bout of spontaneous necromancy, the likes of which none of them have ever seen. While the party travels north, they come across the wreckage of Barney's old airship, Myaska's Favor, which crashed in a storm a week before they all met. Among the ruined cargo, they find a mysterious and intricately carved black box, along with some documents that reveal that the box was intended to be smuggled in secret to the northern city of Darnthala, where it would be destroyed. Us continues traveling and arrives in Abaddon, a massive city surrounded by mountains that serves as the seat of the monarchy. They aren't there long before disaster strikes. A citywide funeral procession is somehow exposed to extremely powerful necromantic energy, causing bodies to burst from their coffins and run amok in the streets. Rhystrata, who was a soldier hundreds of years ago during the war against the Undying King, muses that during that time there were rumors being passed around that the king hadn't actually been killed, just hidden away, because though the conflict was over, the king's followers were still around and very persistent, and might try to find his body just to raise him again. While Abaddon recovers from the chaos, Brothos visits the church of his goddess, Breskafell, where he learns that he is a bearer, a mortal chosen at birth to bear the emotions of a god. Though where most bearers only seem to carry one emotion, Brothos seems to carry them all. After the hubbub dies down, the party tries to scrounge up some funds by taking contracts with a monster hunters guild called the Scarred Assembly. While they're out on contract, Yona's patron, LaRue, contacts him through his book, and tells him that she's being pursued by an archfey called the Satyr King, who's been causing chaos and destruction across the Feywild for hundreds of years. LaRue came to the Prime Material Plane to try and find a weapon that was rumored to be strong enough to stop him, and obviously he would do anything to keep her from getting her hands on it. Yona promises to keep LaRue safe and help her find the weapon. Later, while taking care of a basilisk infestation, the party happens across a hidden basement, where they find a map of Abaddon with detailed notes on guard movements in the city, as well as a small black stone, which fills the air with whispers and radiates undeath. When they identify the stone, they learn that it's a spell focus, or an amplifier of some kind, and that its undead energy is so strong that it's likely a piece of the abyssal plane. Us takes the map and the stone to the city guard headquarters, where they are questioned thoroughly before being allowed to leave. Upon release, the party decides it's time to move on. While traveling, Brothos' goddess, Breskafell, comes to him in a dream and tells him that he needs to be indestructible for what's coming in his future. The party also comes across several survivors from Myaska's Favor, who tell Barney that the captain jumped ship while they were going down and was likely still alive, though no one has seen her since the crash. And with that, Barney finally comes clean to the party, because the real reason that Myaska's Favor crashed was because they were being pursued by Abaddonian naval airships, and being a smuggling vessel, they were desperate to get away, and the only choice they had was to go into the storm. Several days of travel leaves the party in Garendale, a mining town where Barney believes that his captain picked up the box. Their very first night in town, the party is attacked in their sleep by minions of the Satyr King, who try to steal Yona's book. After the party manages to save it, LaRue admits to Yona that beyond being a massive douchebag, the Satyr King is also obsessed with her, and wants to make her his bride. During their days in Garendale, the party discovers a cell of Spellbreakers, who appear to be planning an attack on a powerful wizard named Sedwin, who lives in a tower in the woods. The party subdues the Spellbreakers before they can carry out their attack, and they accept the offer of a local mine owner to keep the criminals in their basement until the party can take them to see this Sedwin. Unfortunately, it turns out that this mine owner is actually a doppelganger named the Grey Lady, who happens to be the head of the criminal element in Garendale. And not only that, but she's got a bounty for Rhystrata, who apparently punched a noble back in Abaddon, and is now wanted dead to the tune of 15,000 crisp gold pieces. The Grey Lady offers to let the party go unharmed so long as they complete a job for her in a town called Avelstrad, near the Splinterwood. Turns out one of her agents, Larose Silverwind, had gone there to retrieve a deck of cards, which was stolen from the Grey Lady by the patriarch of the Halitzer family, one of the 7 noble families of Avelstrad. Larose had messaged some time ago to say that he had succeeded, but then had abruptly gone dark. The Grey Lady requests that the party take one of her other agents, Bimbus Gafor, with them to Avelstrad, where they will find LaRue, find the cards, and find out why he didn't come back. While Us decides what to do, Barney takes a look through the rest of the Grey Lady's bounties, where he sees that his sister, Isolt, whom he hasn't seen in 8 years, is wanted for recruiting for the Brotherhood of the Beast, a community of lycanthropes known for attacking caravans around the Splinterwood. The party, of course, agrees to the Grey Lady's proposal. Before leaving town, they finally get to see Sedwin, and they waste no time in producing the black box. The tiefling wizard recognizes it immediately, confirming that he'd paid Barney's captain to take it to Daranthala. Sedwin opens the box to reveal an obsidian black helmet, a relic which used to belong to a figure known as the Herald of the Abyss. This herald was the champion of the progenitor god, who long ago was trapped in the abyssal plane by the younger gods for trying to destroy the universe that he had created. To Sedwin's knowledge, there are many more relics like it, and any being who wanted to free the progenitor god would have to have all of the relics to succeed. Us leaves the helmet with Sedwin for safekeeping and travels to Avelstrad, where they learn that the Howitzer patriarch was actually murdered, and his killer, Leroy Silverwind, is in prison awaiting execution. They attempt to get into the prison to see him, but are turned away by a rather rude human lieutenant named Ulrich Faldrim, whom Rhystrata challenges to a future duel. Bimbus asks us to let him work through his own channels to find out more information about Leroy. They agree and take the opportunity to travel south, looking for more information about the Brotherhood of the Beast. While on the road, they watch a shooting star crash into the earth, and when Rhystrata touches it, she is called into a white space where she meets the goddess Myaska face to face. Myaska asks if Rhystrata is ready to pledge herself to her, and Rhystrata responds yes. Myaska dubs Rhys her champion, and then tasks her with the care of a baby Kieran, whom she is to look after until it's old enough to look after itself. The party arrives in a town called Sleeth, where Brotherhood members have been kidnapping people off the streets and infecting them with lycanthropy against their will. The party meets up with members of the local Scarred Assembly chapter and Thieves Guild, who direct them to the basement of a building called the Mulch House. There, Us meets a were-rat named Simmons, who denounces the Brotherhood and insists that he's been working hard with another person to try and undermine their efforts in Sleeth, and that other person is named Isolt. Simmons and Isolt were both brought into the Brotherhood against their will. Isolt specifically has been working as a physician for the Brotherhood's leader, Hakoda, who seems to be dying slowly of an erratic and mysterious disease. Hakoda works closely with a mage called the Seer, who is directing the Brotherhood to dig for fragments of some unknown artifact in the Splinterwood, shoring up his workforce by turning people against their will. Simmons and Isolt were stationed in Sleeth to find more people to turn, but had purposefully been doing a terrible job of it, until about a week ago when Isolt was called into the main camp with no explanation. The party bands together with their Thieves Guild and Scarred Assembly allies, and they manage to rescue Isolt from her prison, but in the conflict, Hakoda and Desmeketh manage to get away, disappearing into the forest to chase down their strange fragments. After the battle, a shade of Desmeketh visits the party while they rest. He tells them that he's glad that they've gotten Isolt back, because he's the one making Hakoda sick, keeping himself useful to the leader so that he can use the Brotherhood as his own workforce to find those fragments. Desmeketh won't tell them what the fragments are, but he promises that if the party stops interfering and leaves now, he'll finish his business, kill Hakoda, and they'll never have to hear from him or the Brotherhood ever again. Frustrated, but unwilling to put Isolt in further danger, the party leaves the next day and travels back to Avelstrad, where they find out that Bimbus had tried to break Leroy out of prison, only to get arrested himself. Now needing to rescue both Bimbus and the guards, Us infiltrates the guards' main drinking establishment, where they make enough connections to learn the general layout and some helpful information about the prison. Rhystrata finally reconnects with Ulrich Faldrim for that duel, and Yona and Brothos use this as a distraction to slip into the prison's anti-magic tower, where they successfully retrieve the Grey Lady's cards and free Bimbus. Bimbus eventually splits from Us and flees northeast to avoid the Grey Lady's wrath. Meanwhile, the party goes north, using their time on the road to take a look at that mysterious deck. Brothos pulls the star and the key, gaining strength and a cool new dagger. Barney pulls the moon and gains 3 wishes. And Rhystrata pulls the idiot, dropping her to a -1 intelligence modifier before she's forced to pull another card, which turns out to be the Void. The party watches as all of Rhystrata's memories flow out of her and into the card, which is then consumed by a figure made completely of darkness, that then introduces itself to her as the end which approaches all things. Thoroughly shaken, Rhystrata tells the party of some of the horrors that she witnessed and committed during the war. She also admits to Barney that she's a follower of Myaska, which leads to a tense conversation where the party discovers that she learned of Myaska through her husband, a half-elf, who was one of the goddess's followers all the way up until he died of old age, and Rhystrata, being a full elf, outlived him. With these dark and sad revelations, the party rallies together and hurries northward to Garendale, hoping to find Sedwin and the helmet still safe in their tower. And that concludes episodes 1 through 29 of Off the Rails! Hooray! Yay! If you're interested in reading more thorough episode summaries, you can find those on the Rails So Far, a page on our The Welcome In Wiki, or Tweaky, as I like to call it. I post the previous episode summary every Friday afternoon so that people who missed the last one can catch up before stream time. And speaking of stream time, you can also catch us live, streaming on Friday nights at 7 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/The Welcome In. Once again, my name is Sloan, aka Artplebe. This has been The Rails So Far. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on Friday for our 30th episode. Woohoo! Bye!